Okay, I think we're a little bit behind coming back to order, but we're going to go ahead and call the meeting back to order and continue on with our agenda.
Sarah,
So we're going to go ahead and move into our project updates. I believe Ms. Sarah is getting prepared to give us an incubator update. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. The incubator is still progressing nicely, and today at our meeting we actually have with us our building operations manager, Mr. Jim Stein. He's in the audience with us. You can wave.
Welcome.
I told him I wouldn't make him come up and give a speech, but I did want him here so that you can put a face with a name, and he is going to be attending all of our meetings from now on. He's been a very integral part in our retrofitting process of the building, and he has been a blessing. Thank you so much, Jim, so far for what you have done. We really appreciate it. He's brought a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise to the table for this project, which has been just a great asset. So we're very fortunate to have him. He's working in conjunction with Half Acre on every aspect of this project. He's at the incubator facility pretty much all day, every day, if he's not behind a computer doing correspondence back and forth with our vendors. So we're really excited to have him on board. The project, as I said, is still progressing nicely. Construction is still underway. They are putting the ceiling tiles in the building right now. The electrical is still being worked on. Jim informed me that the compressor has arrived and it'll be installed by the plumber here shortly. The fill line equipment is still on schedule to arrive around the first or second week of July. Our construction schedule is actually a little bit ahead of schedule, so that's good at this point. We wanted to make sure that the retrofitting of the building and the fill line equipment arrival were as one, so that we didn't have any lag time, and as soon as the equipment came in, we could get it installed, get it up and running, and get down to business. So it looks like we're still going to be on that schedule. In fact, we might have a little bit of lead time as far as the construction being done. So that's about all I have for an update. Again, we seem to be progressing as we should, and we haven't come into any snafus, so that's pretty good. But if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, or I will direct the questions to Jim.
Have we begun working on like a schedule or procedures for how we're going to schedule out the fill line and operate?
Yes, Kristen Giuliani, that we have hired on a consulting basis, is working on the policies and procedures right now for our entrance criteria into the incubator for tenants, as well as the exit strategies that will take place when that tenant is at a point in which they need to move out. So she's starting to work on that, the business plan encompassing the fill line itself and the equipment, and I'm hoping to have a meeting in the next day or two with her to actually go over the final copies that she has written out for those. So by next board meeting, I expect for sure that we will have that on the agenda to be able to look at in some form or fashion, anyway, in a draft form.
Any other questions from board members?
Hi, Sarah, could you just go over again one more time Jim's name and role? I missed a little bit of that.
Sure. Jim Stein, and we have hired him as the building operations manager. And so what that means basically is he is going to make this building his baby. He's going to be in charge of every aspect of managing the fill line, managing the other portions of the building, all the tenant spaces, just every aspect of operations associated with the incubator.
Any other questions or comments on the incubator? If not, we'll go on into Commerce Park expansion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Commerce Park expansion, as we had related at the last meeting, the zoning was finally approved by the Board of County Commissioners. During this next budget process, we will be producing what we believe to be some phased costs related to expanding the Commerce Park, and we will have additional debate on exactly how we want to proceed with expanding the roads and course, the development process will also, there are some additional steps that we'll have to do with the planning and zoning department, but I would like to get some appropriation during the budget process. We may not have to wait till the end of the process, but at some point between now and September, you will have an additional proposal that will lay out what we would propose to be doing to expand into the park and what we believe those costs to be. At that time, we'll be asking you to appropriate some money related to that. Any questions on that?
I think we probably need to get on the front end with planning and zoning a little bit more than we have in the past on some of the different type of buildings and all that kind of stuff.
By front end.
Well, let them know our plans a little bit more so we can get some input for them before we don't run into a situation like they said before that here at the end, we haven't done all our work or anything. I'm just saying, you know what I'm talking about.
I am. I just don't find any deficiency on our side, but as it relates to Floorcan, we started now with them over a year ago, and we've moved well down the path, and that is the next item that we'll discuss. The site plan development has, they're proceeding with site plan development, and the, let's see, it's SPD and site plan development and site construction plan are the next two items related to Floorcan. Simultaneously, they are working with architect and Floorcan to develop the plans that will be produced for the RFPs for the various aspects of constructing the building. That will begin to start moving fairly quickly. I do not know what type of response we will get on the site plan development from the Planning and Zoning Board, but we will do everything we can to make certain they have every bit of detailed information necessary to hopefully get it approved at the first pass. So I do get you. Continuum Labs, we're still, as you heard earlier, we're going through the audit process, and I did have a communication from Travis that he is meeting with some investors today, and he also had a luncheon to go to, and otherwise he would have been here today. And I told him at this point there's no reason for him to be here. That's where we're at on Continuum. And on Rapid Systems, and I also have a PF-Man discussion with you. We got PF-Man first, I can do it first.
Do that first.
I sat on a panel yesterday in Tampa with some folks all across the state. They were from Pensacola, Miami, Orlando, somewhere near the Cape too. One person was a manufacturer of drones. One is an economic development director in Northwest Florida that is looking to recruit some ancillary business from the presence of the Airbus that is building a factory in Alabama. One is doing aquatic drones in Miami, and it was really a curious, very intelligent group of people. I felt significantly outclassed, but the things that I really liked about it is that what I believe we're doing with PF-Man, CNC, CAD, and CAM is really integral to this state's survival. And you look at me and you wonder what CNC is and how it relates to CAD and CAM. CAD is computer assisted or computer aided drawing. It is generally what happens before anything happens. An engineer sits down with an idea, or they sit down with a product and they begin to take that product and measure it and reverse engineer it and alter it into a three-dimensional drawing. That three-dimensional drawing then is converted in a machine language to computer aided or computer assisted manufacturing. That is the software that drives the CNC machines. CNC machines are really nothing more than a drill press. But if you think about a drill press that has the following attributes. The CNC machine that we have at PF-Man is it operates at high speed. Conventional CNC machines operate at around 10,000 RPMs. This one operates between 30 and 40,000 RPMs. Conventional CNC machines have mechanical movements to do the 5-axis. 5-axis is the areas that the machine moves, and it's really not that complex, and I'll show you a little video of them in a minute, but if you look on the board, you have up and down, you have in and out, and you have left and right. And those 3 axes are referred to as the X, Y, and Z axis. But then, and that is what the milling head moves, up and down, in and out, left and right. The table that whatever you're milling is mounted to has an ability to rotate. That is the A axis, both just in a 360-degree tundral, but then it also sits on an eccentric that allows it to rotate almost 360 degrees. That is C axis. We won't talk about B axis. As I understand it, it relates to some other movements that relate to robotics. But when you hear of a 5-axis CNC machine that is high precision, it will be one that has these movements with high speed, that is above 10,000 RPMs, and in this instance 30 to 40,000 RPMs, and it operates on linear motors instead of mechanical motors, and it gives them incredible precision. You think about it in a normal sense, it would be like watching a television in 1980 and then putting one beside it today in high definition. It's that much difference in precision. And the CNC milling is where manufacturing is moving to across the face of the earth. And if our county and Florida is going to compete, we have to develop a competency with CNC machines. The problem is that it's the 20 to 40-year-old that has the intellectual skills to run the CAD and CAM processes. But it is the old, blind milling technician, the machinist, that has the skills to do the machining. So everywhere CNC machines are being installed, they are trying to marry the old machinist with the new computer age person. And I feel like that we're on the right path here. We've also had some discussions with the college. I hope as we move forward, we will be able to develop a syllabus so that we can train additional people in the usage of these machines. The conventional ways of manufacturing, I'm being repetitive here, but across the face of the earth are moving to this type of manufacturing, and robotics are doing all of the physical stuff. And the humans are now doing the intellectual stuff, the programming, the software development, and then the logistics. So, try to keep that in mind as you think about where we're going in the future and what the appropriate path is. I really believe that having CNC capabilities as a part of our economy is going to be a really good thing for us. There's a couple of quick videos. I don't know which one's first. Do you have the other one? This one will give you a little better. It's only about 2 minutes, but it is a very similar machine to the machine that we have at the PF Mann building. For those that don't know, this machine it's probably about 8 feet wide by 8 feet tall, and it is basically a giant drill press, but it sits in an enclosure. It has an ability to change its own tool heads. It can be fed the raw material by a robot, and in this instance, they're using a piece of raw aluminum. If you can't, just go to the next one. Do the next one, and it's a very short one. And this is an actual component to the engine that's being cut at PF Mann. It's very short, but you can run it 2 or 3 times. And you can see this component is probably in a jig. It's probably like this big. And the milling head is on top, the tundral and the table is on the bottom, and they're just showing us the various movements that are capable within the machine. Sorry I couldn't do the other. Does anyone have any questions at this point?
Yeah, are they actually doing stuff out there?
That is taken out at the
I mean, are they manufacturing anything, or they don't have the employees yet, or?
I think it'll take them probably another 2 to 3 months to really be into manufacturing.
Well, it's been like 6 months, and I'm wondering what's going on out there.
It's not like putting a Tinker Toy set together, I can tell you.
Yeah, I know that, and that's fine, but, you know, but the way they presented this thing last year is that they were ready to go. You know, as soon as they got the building built, they were ready to go. That's all.
You know, it took Keyplex quite a while to get set up with their manufacturing processes in their building. And this is much more complex, and that was part of the reason that they had requested rent abatement, is to have time to set this manufacturing plant up. And my observation is that they're doing everything they can to fulfill hopes and dreams and desires for Hardee County to have this type of manufacturing. Other questions related to that issue? Okay, the next slide, I did meet with Dustin German from Rapid Systems last week. And he was very positive. He felt like they were just very positive about the growth of their business. He provided me with a map of the expansion of their business and how far it has grown, not only in Central Florida, but also over in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. I asked him what he thought their customer base was up to in this area, and he said he wasn't sure, but he believed it would be around 4,000 at this point. This map, turn the lights down, please. Is there a way to turn so the satellite's looking more directly at us than at a skewed angle? Go to the up, right underneath the end, up next one up, all the way to the top. I think maybe it's the bottom. Click on that. Up. No, it's the top. There's the other one. Lock down. There. Now just grab it and drag it down. Is there a way? If everyone can see, hopefully everyone can find where Hardee County is. It's the most intensity area. Thank you, that was right in that area. They have managed to make shots into DeSoto County. They're making shots over into Highlands County. They have a very large ranch that they have secured sites on their tower, and a site on their tower that will provide another redundant circle from DeSoto County over into Highlands County, and they are working with some other producers that have other towers to expand their system. They just in the last 2 weeks completed update so that we pretty much have 1 gig of service in our system in Hardee County. We previously had, I want to say it was 700 megs, so that would be like 0.7 of a gig. And it is a redundant ring. Some of these lines I can't show on this map, but they have, they're bringing a signal in from Fruitville Road, which is all the way to southern over on the coast. It comes from Fruitville to Mayaca City, and then into the tower. It's It may be the one near Solomon's Castle. And then they of course have the one at the ILA POP in Ona that is getting signaling directly from the fiber. And then they also bring in another signal from the Riverview, where the real tall television towers are in Riverview, and it comes into a tower on Prime Road, which is out where Buck Cool used to live, in case anyone doesn't know. Some of those shots are both, they're in both directions, because they're assembling and collating the information that's gathered from the system and taking it back to level 3 in Tampa. But I think you're going to see in the next 3 or 4 months a lot more tower sites and some additional customer growth. Dustin's biggest problem is he can build the network. It's pretty easy for him to do that. But it still runs him about $700 per hookup to go from middle mile to last mile. And it is that capital expense. And of course, in this area, there's a lot of turnover. People come in, whether they're snowbirds or agricultural labor, and they're here for 3 or 4 months. They want to be hooked up, and the next thing you know, they've left, and he's trying to figure out how to recapture some of that capital investment, because it's really just cuts into his pro forma at the end of the day. But the system is growing, and of course the others over in the Tampa area, it's got some really good customer base over there. And then there's also another, he does the entire city of Apopka. I don't know if anyone knew that or not, but he has an independent system over there that he's had for probably 7 or 8 years. And it's not on this map. But we discussed him coming today, but I met with him last Wednesday, and I felt like it would be too rushed to try to have a presentation ready for the agenda on Friday. And he would be glad to come over in the July or August meeting and personally give you an update.
Is the upgrade that you referred to what they were mentioning on their Facebook page about IPv6? Like the latest internet protocol?
Yes. What that is, let me get it. It affects the way your smart devices at your house can connect to Wi-Fi, and it makes them more efficient and faster. And that too has been another part of the issue with this system. When we built it, we really figured 300 megs would be more than we ever needed for Hardee County, but this was back in 2010, and there has been an incredible proliferation of smartphones and pads and laptops and desktops, and DirecTV has internet connections, and Roku boxes, and Netflix, and honestly, it is, from what Dustin's observations are in talking with the Netflix people, Netflix says that we're really a hotspot, and they'd really like to be able to bring a direct Netflix connection into the system. And if they did that, it would probably lower our consumption by 300 megs as a system. But he's staying ahead of the game and keeping the bandwidth up. And again, his biggest limitation is the $700 per customer, new customer.
So we're far more tech savvy than they anticipated in Hardee County, I guess.
Well, I think we are, but there's others that may disagree with that. Any other questions on?
Joe, are they still entertaining at all moving into the building here?
They are. It's kind of in a state of flux, and they have their building for sale, and they would really like to move into that building.
Any other questions or information from board members on the project updates?
Yeah, Bill, on the question of the equipment that was taken down, and then we supposed to got a bill for $9,000 on that. What's the status on that?
It's still up there. It's still in the system. I would comment. I'm not certain, you know, there are some pending lawsuits, or there's some lawsuits that are active in Hardee County, and no one's deposed me yet, but I presume one day they will. I stand anxious to do that.
All right, and on the pop, they're the only ones using the pop at the present time?
For our POP, yes. It does feed the primary source of our bandwidth for Hardee County, and we have these redundant rings, and a lot of that, it is what makes the system more dependable. If one tower gets knocked out by lightning, and it does happen, trust me, if someone's internet goes down, I probably get called before Rapid Systems gets it. I simply, you know, make a query to find out what's going on, and a lot of the other problems locally that have occurred have been us as a society learning to deal with routers and Wi-Fi's, and there's power problems that cause outages internally with routers, but we don't, you know, if a light bulb goes out, we know to go get a new bulb and screw it back in the socket and the light turns back on. With a lot of our IT stuff, we just don't have the sophistication yet as a society to really understand what to do to fix it. But we're learning. And I presume as we get more sophisticated, or as this generation of 4 and 5-year-olds becomes 30 and 40-year-olds, these problems will go away. If they can monitor the middle mile backbone of this system, and it is incredibly dependable and reliable. It is the last mile where the glitches occur. And that occurs whether you're with Verizon, Fios, or Bright House, or Comcast, any of them. They all have issues. People cut cables, they lose power. So I still think we have a really good system, and I've been monitoring the FERBA system, and I certainly hope that it can be fully developed, but I still have not really figured out how they're going to do the last mile. Because you have to have a way to deploy the last mile, and it's a really big capital investment. I'm sure they can hit the institutions, you know, the sheriffs, the school boards, but I don't know how they're going to get to the people that was our objective to serve, which was most of the rural areas in this county.
So I guess there's no conclusion yet on the $127,000 that we give them. The provisions, if I recall, Donald, was that if they can recover in the lawsuit, that they will pay us back. And I don't really know what the status of that. I tried to discuss it with Dustin the other day, and he said, Bill, he said, I'm building my system, I'm moving on, and Denise said.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
We do have 2 other projects, sorry, that remain under confidentiality, but both of them are moving forward. I hope we can make some kind of formal announcement relatively soon on one or both of them. They've taken quite a while. And if we can't, we can't. But as soon as we can, the public and you will be the first to know.
Okay, is that everything for project updates?